Hey, welcome to the video. Today I'm going to show you some basic guitar techniques. Maybe you got a guitar for Christmas and it's been sitting there and you haven't had the motivation. Hopefully this video will give you some motivation to get that guitar out and start strumming it. So step one, you need a guitar. Step two, I have a pick here, but you don't need a pick. You can always use your fingers if you want to. But later in the video, I'm going to show you how to incorporate a capo as well in your routine. In this song at the end called Laundry Room by the Avid Brothers, they actually use a capo, so I'm going to do that as well. But this song has two chords, the G chord and the C chord. So this is the G chord shape. Actually, before we get to the G chord shape, let's just talk about the basics of the guitar. So these are called frets here. So these like little lines here, these metal lines are called frets. This is called the fretboard. So this is the first fret, second fret, third fret, so on. This goes up to 12 frets here. It's a smaller guitar. So I'll be talking about fret numbers. So this is the first fret, second fret, third fret, and so on. We need to talk about the strings. So on a guitar, the high string is the first string, which is a E. Second string is a B. Third string G. Fourth D. Fifth is an A, and the sixth string is a low E, low octave E. So you always want to make sure your guitar is in tune, so whenever you tune it up. So how to remember the string names is a little pattern. You can say Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie, and goodbye would be two words there. So we start on the low E this time though. Eddie E, ate A, second, the fifth string would be A. This string here, the fourth string, remember it goes 1, 2, 3, 4 from the top. So this string here, the next string up would be the fourth string. That's the D, dynamite. The next one, that would be G, good. And the next one is B, bye. And the last string is the high E, Eddie. So Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie. So E, A, D, G, B, E. So those are the notes from the strings. So next I'm going to show you how to make the G chord here. So this is how I make the G chord. So what I do is I put my ring finger on the third fret of the E string, middle finger on the second fret of the A string, and my pinky on the high E string on the third fret. So notice how I keep my finger off here, which is going to be useful when you transition to the next chord. I'm going to teach you the C chord. So here's what the G chord sounds like. So now strumming that chord, and it's going to take a while to get your fingers up to your calluses because they're metal strings, and it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt a little bit up front, but after practice, you'll get the calluses, and it won't be too bad. So here's what we're going to do. You can strum the G chord with just the down strum if you want to. It still sounds pretty cool. I'm not going to show you how to mute the strings here, but typically when you play the guitar, you don't want to have an open ring like this. For some songs, you want to mute your strings a little bit, but for this, I'll just keep it on the open. All right, so then now that's the basic rhythm. You can add down and up as well to break it up. And you want to strum all 6 strings on the G chord. Next pattern is the folk pattern, which comes up a lot in all the songs, at least in American song repertoire, the folk pattern. So here's how we do the folk pattern. So instead of just doing this, kind of boring, we can break it up and do this pattern here. So it's called the folk pattern. So we do down, down, up, down, up. So down, down, up, down, up. So you want to practice slow first. So you're going to do down, 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 up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. faster, it's gonna sound like this. It'll kind of sound a little cooler. The next pattern is the boom chuck pattern, which is common in old time music and some bluegrass music as well for backup guitars. If you're playing with some banjos or fiddles or anything like that, it's the boom chuck pattern. So you take the boom is the bass note. In this case, we have the G chord still. So I'm gonna do a boom on that string, and I'm gonna chuck, which is play all the strings. Boom, chuck, boom, chuck, boom, chuck. Now that already sounds cool as it is, but you can alternate the bass notes as well. So the bass notes here will be this E, low E, and then we're gonna use this open D for the next bass note. So here's what it sounds like. If I just play the bass notes, it sounds like this. It's kind of like an upright bass. I think this E is coming out of tune, but I'm just gonna keep chugging along. So that sounds pretty cool, but we can add the chuck in there to break that up. And notice how I missed one of the booms on that time, but I kept the chuck going, because you don't want to, when you're playing or backing up somebody on the guitar, if they're playing the fiddle or something, you don't want to mess up that rhythm, because the guitar is, in certain types of music, bluegrass, old time music, is essential to keeping the timing and the rhythm. So if you miss a boom, just keep the chuck going. So here's an example of me trying to miss a boom to show what that sounds like. See, I just missed it, and I stopped too, so that's not good. So maybe we'll cut that out. So I'm gonna miss. Now I'm thinking about this, I can't do it, but I'll do it a little quicker so you can. I missed the low bass note there, but I did a double D string bass note because I messed up. So I did it again. So get in the groove. Alright, so that's the boom chuck. Now we're going to go into the C chord. So the C chord, and the reason why I like this G chord here with the index off is because you can easily transition to the Z chord by just shifting these two fingers in the G shape up one set of strings. So index goes up one string, middle goes up one string, so your index is going to be on the 3rd string on the 2nd fret, your ring finger will be on the 3rd fret of the 5th string, which is the A. And your finger that's off the guitar goes on the guitar now. Your pinky stays in the same spot, but your finger that's off the guitar now goes on the 2nd string, which is that high B string on the 1st fret. So it kind of looks like that. This is what it sounds like. And you want to play only the 5 strings, not all 6 strings on the C chord. That's what the C chord sounds like. Some people play the C chord without the pinky and it sounds like this. But I just put the pinky on there because it's efficient, just quick changes, especially when you're playing fast. So I'm going to keep the pinky on. So now what we're going to do is, I'm not going to show the folk pattern again, but you can do the folk pattern to this one as well, but I'm going to show the boom chuck pattern because it gets a little tricky on what the bass strings are going to be. So the bass string is going to be your 5th string to start with, and you're going to do boom chuck. So it's the ring finger. So you could also just do that again. You could just do that same boom on the same string, but that's kind of boring, so it'll sound like this. Alright, so we're going to alternate. So I'm just going to take the boom on the 5th, and I'm going to do a boom on the 4th. So that's one way to do it, or you can do an alternating pattern for the 3rd finger or the 4th finger here, the ring finger, and you can go down, back and forth like this to do your boom. So it'll sound like this. So those are the only 2 chords we need for this song. And now I'm just going to transition going between the chords so you see what they sound like. So this first chord here is the G chord. So this song is in the key of G, but we're gonna then just use the G chord and the C chord. The C chord is the 4th chord, but we'll talk about that in another video. So here's what it sounds like just transitioning between the G and the C with the folk pattern. Here's what the transition sounds like with the boom chuck pattern.